Maya Chen wiped down the last table at Danny's diner as the clock on the wall showed 9:30 at night. Her feet hurt from standing for 5 hours straight after a full day of classes. She was 17 years old and tired in a way that most teenagers never experienced. But she didn't complain. She never complained because her mother had taught her that complaining didn't pay the rent or buy groceries. She untied her apron and hung it on the hook in the back room. The smell of grease and coffee had soaked into her uniform, and she knew it would take 2 washes to get it out. Danny, the owner, came out from the kitchen carrying a small container of leftover meatloaf and mashed potatoes. "Here you go, kid," he said, handing her the container. "Tell your mom I said hello." Maya smiled and took the food gratefully. "Thanks, Danny, I will." She stepped out into the cool evening air and started the long walk to the bus stop. The streets were quieter now, and she could see her breath in the air. October was settling in, and winter wasn't far behind. Maya pulled her thin jacket tighter around her body and walked faster. The bus ride took 40 minutes. She sat by the window and watched the city change from the busy downtown area, with bright lights and expensive restaurants, to her neighborhood where buildings were older and streets were darker. She did her homework on the bus sometimes, but tonight she was too tired. Instead, she thought about tomorrow. Tomorrow was Friday, and Fridays at Westwood Academy were always a little different. The rich kids talked about their weekend plans, about trips to their families' beach houses, or shopping in the city with their parents' credit cards. Maya usually stayed quiet during these conversations. What could she say? That she would spend Saturday working a double shift at the diner and Sunday helping her mother clean office buildings? She got off the bus at her stop and walked 3 blocks to the small apartment building where she lived with her mother. The elevator was broken again, so she climbed the stairs to the 4th floor. Her legs protested with each step, but she kept going. Inside the apartment, her mother was asleep on the couch with the television on low volume. Mrs. Chen worked as a seamstress during the day and cleaned offices at night. She had 2 jobs because one job wasn't enough to pay for their small apartment and Maya's scholarship expenses. The scholarship covered tuition at Westwood Academy, but Maya still needed uniforms, books, and supplies. Those things cost money they didn't have. Maya turned off the television and covered her mother with a blanket. She put the leftover food in the refrigerator and went to her tiny bedroom. It was barely big enough for a bed and a small desk, but it was hers. On the desk sat her most precious possession, a second-hand keyboard that her mother had bought at a garage sale 3 years ago for $20. Maya sat down and put on her headphones. She didn't want to wake her mother. Her fingers found the keys in the darkness and she started to play softly. This was her escape, her way of forgetting about tired feet and empty pockets and the feeling that she would never quite fit in at school. She had taught herself to play by watching free videos online. At first, she could only play simple songs, but over time, she got better. Now she could play complicated pieces, and sometimes she even made up her own music. When she played, she didn't think about anything else. The world disappeared, and it was just her and the music. That night, she played for an hour before exhaustion finally won. She fell into bed still wearing her clothes and was asleep within minutes. The next morning, Maya woke up to the sound of her alarm at 6 o'clock. She got ready quickly, putting on her school uniform that she had washed and ironed the night before. The uniform was supposed to make everyone look the same, but somehow Maya's uniform always looked different from the others. Maybe it was because hers was secondhand, bought from a graduating student. Maybe it was because she wore the same pair of shoes every day while other girls had multiple pairs to match different outfits. She made breakfast for herself and her mother. Simple oatmeal with a little honey. Her mother was already awake, getting ready for her seamstress job. "Don't forget to eat lunch today," Mrs. Chen said in Mandarin. They spoke their native language at home, even though they had been in America for 10 years. "You're getting too thin." "I won't forget, Mom," Maya replied, also in Mandarin. "And don't work too hard at school." "You need to rest sometimes," Maya smiled. Her mother always worried about her working too hard, but Mrs. Chen herself never rested. She worked 7 days a week, taking breaks only when her body forced her to stop. Maya arrived at Westwood Academy at 7:30. The school was in the richest part of the city, surrounded by tall trees and green lawns. The building looked like a castle from a storybook with stone walls and big windows. She had felt like an imposter the first day she walked through those doors 2 years ago, and sometimes she still felt that way. She went to her locker and got her books for morning classes. Other students filled the hallway, talking and laughing. Most of them had known each other since elementary school. Their families belonged to the same country clubs and attended the same charity events. Maya was an outsider and everyone knew it. "Maya, wait up!" She turned to see Emma Rodriguez hurrying toward her. Emma was her only real friend at Westwood, another scholarship student who understood what it was like to be different. Emma's family wasn't poor like Maya's, but they weren't rich like most Westwood families either. Emma's father was a teacher, and her mother was a nurse. They were comfortable but not wealthy. "Did you finish the history essay?" Emma asked, slightly out of breath. "Yeah, I finished it on the bus last night," Maya said. Emma shook her head in amazement. "I don't know how you do it. Working at the diner and still getting perfect grades." "I don't have a choice," Maya said simply. "The scholarship requires me to keep my grades up." They walked to their first class together. As they entered the classroom, Maya noticed Victoria Sterling holding court in the back corner, surrounded by her usual group of admirers. Victoria was everything Maya wasn't. She was tall and confident with long blonde hair that looked like it had been professionally styled. She wore expensive jewelry and carried designer bags. Her father was Richard Sterling, one of the richest men in the city. He had made his fortune in technology, and now the Sterling name was on buildings and charity foundations all over town. Victoria wasn't mean to Maya, but she wasn't exactly friendly either. She treated Maya the way someone might treat furniture, acknowledging her existence but not really seeing her as a person. To Victoria, Maya was just part of the background. Class started and Maya focused on taking notes. She liked history, even though some of the other students found it boring. She liked learning about how people lived in different times and places. It reminded her that struggle wasn't new, that people had always faced hard times and found ways to survive. At lunch, Maya and Emma sat at their usual table near the window. Maya had brought lunch from home, a simple sandwich and an apple. Emma had bought lunch from the cafeteria. "So, did you hear about Victoria's party?" Emma asked, taking a bite of her pizza. Maya shook her head. "What party?" "Her birthday party. It's next Saturday night at her family's mansion. Apparently, she's inviting the entire senior class." Maya felt her stomach tighten. A party at Victoria Sterling's mansion. That sounded like her worst nightmare. "I'm sure she doesn't really mean everyone," Maya said. "She probably just means her actual friends." "No, seriously. She announced it in homeroom this morning. Everyone is invited. She even said to spread the word to anyone who wasn't in homeroom." Maya looked across the cafeteria and saw Victoria laughing with her friends. Why would someone like Victoria invite someone like Maya to her party? It didn't make sense. Later that afternoon, Maya's question was answered. She was at her locker getting books for her last class when Victoria approached her. This was unusual. Victoria never approached Maya directly. "Hey, Maya," Victoria said with a bright smile. "I'm having a birthday party next Saturday at my house, and I wanted to make sure you knew you were invited." Maya was so surprised she almost dropped her books. "Oh, thank you. It starts at 7. It's going to be really fun. There'll be food and music and everything. You should totally come." "I'll think about it," Maya said, not knowing what else to say. Victoria's smile stayed in place, but something in her eyes changed slightly. "Cool. Well, I hope you can make it." Then she walked away, her expensive shoes clicking on the polished floor. Emma appeared at Maya's side immediately. "Did that just happen? Did Victoria Sterling personally invite you to her party?" "I guess so," Maya said, still confused. "You have to go," Emma said excitedly. "I don't know. I have to work that night. Can't you get someone to cover your shift?" "This is Victoria Sterling's party. Do you know how amazing her house is? I heard it has 10 bathrooms and an indoor pool." Maya closed her locker. "I don't have anything to wear to a party like that, and I can't afford to buy a gift." "You can borrow something from me," Emma offered. "And who cares about a gift? Victoria Sterling doesn't need anything. Her family could buy everything in the mall 10 times over." For the rest of the day, Maya couldn't stop thinking about the party. Part of her was curious. She had never been inside a mansion before. She had never attended a party with caterers and decorations and all the things rich people had at their celebrations. But another part of her was terrified. What if she did something wrong? What if everyone stared at her and whispered about the poor scholarship girl who didn't belong? That evening at the diner, Maya was distracted. She mixed up orders twice, something she never did. Danny noticed. "What's going on with you tonight?" he asked, not unkindly. Maya sighed. "There's this party next Saturday. A girl from school invited me, but I don't know if I should go. Why wouldn't you go? It's at a mansion. Everyone there will be rich. I'll stick out like a sore thumb. Danny wiped down the counter and looked at her thoughtfully. Let me tell you something, kid. I've been running this diner for 30 years. I've served rich people and poor people and everyone in between. And you know what I've learned? Money doesn't make someone better or worse. It's just money. You're as good as anyone else and don't let anyone tell you different. Maya smiled. Thanks, Danny. Now about next Saturday. I can get Lucy to cover your shift if you want to go to this party. Really? Really, you're 17 years old. You should go to parties and have fun. You work too hard as it is. When Maya got home that night, she found her mother still awake, working on a sewing project at the kitchen table. Mrs. Chen looked up when Maya came in. You look thoughtful, her mother said. What's on your mind? Maya sat down at the table. A girl from school invited me to her birthday party. It's next Saturday. That's wonderful. You should go. But Mom, it's at a really fancy house. Everyone there will be wearing expensive clothes and I don't have anything nice enough. Mrs. Chen set down her sewing. Maya, listen to me. You are smart and kind and talented. Those things are worth more than any expensive dress. If these people can't see that, then they're not worth your time. But I'll feel so out of place. Maybe you will. But maybe you'll also have a good time and make new friends. You won't know unless you try. Maya thought about this. Her mother was right. She always was. Over the next week, Maya tried to focus on school and work, but the party was always in the back of her mind. Emma talked about it constantly, planning what they would wear and wondering what the mansion would look like. Emma had been invited too, and she was genuinely excited. On Thursday, Emma brought a black dress to school for Maya to try on. It was simple but elegant, and it fit Maya almost perfectly. See? Emma said triumphantly. You look great. You're definitely coming to this party. Maya looked at herself in the mirror. The dress was nicer than anything she owned. Are you sure you don't mind me borrowing it? Of course not. What are friends for? Saturday arrived too quickly. Maya spent the day feeling nervous and excited in equal measure. She worked the morning shift at the diner, and Danny sent her home early so she would have time to get ready. At home, Maya took a long shower and washed her hair carefully. She put on the borrowed dress and the one pair of decent shoes she owned, simple black flats that she usually wore to school. She looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. The dress looked nice, but her shoes were scuffed and worn. There was nothing she could do about that. Her mother came into the bathroom and smiled. You look beautiful, sweetheart. I look okay, Maya said. No, you look beautiful. And more importantly, you are beautiful, inside and out. Remember that tonight. Mrs. Chen pinned Maya's long black hair up in a simple but pretty style. She didn't have any fancy jewelry to lend her daughter, but she gave Maya a pair of small pearl earrings that had belonged to Maya's grandmother. For luck, Mrs. Chen said, hugging her daughter. Emma's father picked Maya up at 6:30. Emma was already in the car, looking excited and nervous. She wore a blue dress and had curled her hair. You look amazing, Emma told Maya. So do you, Maya replied. The drive to Victoria's house took 20 minutes. They left Maya's neighborhood and drove through increasingly expensive areas until they reached the waterfront, where the biggest mansions stood. When they turned into the Sterling estate, Maya's breath caught in her throat. The house was enormous, 3 stories tall with white columns and huge windows that glowed with golden light. The driveway was lined with expensive cars, and young men in uniforms were parking vehicles for guests. There were actual valets, like at a hotel. Wow, Emma whispered. This is insane. They got out of the car and walked toward the entrance. Maya's heart was pounding. Other students were arriving too, all dressed in expensive clothes and laughing confidently. Maya suddenly felt very small and very out of place. Inside, the house was even more impressive. The entryway had marble floors and a huge crystal chandelier hanging from the ceiling. Waiters in white jackets walked around carrying trays of food and drinks. Music played from somewhere deeper in the house. Victoria greeted guests near the entrance, wearing a stunning silver dress that probably cost more than Maya's mother made in 6 months. She smiled when she saw Maya and Emma. I'm so glad you guys came, Victoria said, and she actually sounded like she meant it. There's food everywhere, and the DJ is setting up in the ballroom. Make yourselves at home. Maya and Emma wandered deeper into the house. Every room was bigger and more beautiful than the last. There was a room just for watching movies with huge leather chairs. There was a game room with a pool table and arcade games. There was a library with books from floor to ceiling. "How does anyone live like this?" Emma murmured. Maya didn't answer. She was too busy trying not to feel overwhelmed. They found the ballroom where most of the party was happening. It was an enormous room with polished wood floors and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water. A DJ was set up in one corner playing popular music. Tables laden with food lined one wall. There must have been 100 people there, all talking and laughing and dancing. Maya and Emma stood near the edge of the room, watching. Maya recognized most of the people from school, but she didn't really know any of them. They existed in different worlds, even though they walked the same hallways every day. "Want to get some food?" Emma asked. They made their way to the food tables. There was every kind of food imaginable, from sushi to tiny hamburgers to elaborate desserts. Maya took a small plate and put a few things on it, but she wasn't really hungry. Her stomach was too tied up in knots. She watched the other guests mingling effortlessly. They all seemed to know each other so well, to be so comfortable in this world of wealth and luxury. She saw Victoria dancing with her friends, laughing without a care in the world. She saw other classmates taking selfies in front of the windows, probably posting them to social media immediately. Maya felt like she was watching a movie about someone else's life. This wasn't her world. These weren't her people. What was she doing here? "I need some air," Maya told Emma. "Do you want me to come with you?" "No, it's okay. I'll be right back." Maya slipped away from the ballroom and wandered down a hallway. The house was so big that she immediately felt lost. She passed by several rooms, all beautifully decorated with expensive furniture and artwork. Through one doorway she could see people lounging in what looked like a home theater. Through another she saw adults, probably Victoria's parents' friends, having drinks and conversations. She kept walking, drawn by some instinct she couldn't name. The hallway grew quieter as she moved away from the party. She turned a corner and found herself in a part of the house that seemed less occupied. Here the lights were dimmer and the sounds of the party were just a distant murmur. And then she saw it. Through an open doorway, Maya saw a room that made her heart skip. It was a music room, and sitting in the center like a jewel was a grand piano. Not just any piano, but a beautiful black Steinway that gleamed under the soft lights. Maya looked around to make sure no one was watching, then stepped into the room. Her worn shoes made no sound on the thick carpet. The room was elegant but comfortable, with music books on shelves and paintings of famous composers on the walls. But Maya only had eyes for the piano. She approached it slowly, almost afraid to get too close. She had never seen a real grand piano up close before. At school there was an upright piano in the music room, but she had never been allowed to play it. The music teacher said it was for music students only, and Maya wasn't taking music classes. She couldn't afford the extra fees. Maya reached out and touched the smooth black surface. It was cool under her fingers. She wondered what it would feel like to play on real piano keys instead of the plastic keys of her little keyboard at home. She looked over her shoulder again. No one was coming. The party seemed far away now, like it was happening in another world. Maya made a decision. She would just sit at the piano for a minute. She wouldn't play, just sit. That couldn't hurt anyone. She pulled out the bench and sat down carefully. The bench was padded and comfortable, so different from the folding chair she used at home. She looked down at the keys, perfect and white and black in their familiar pattern. Her fingers itched to touch them. Just one note, she thought. "I'll just play one note to hear what a real piano sounds like." She pressed middle C gently. The sound that came out was pure and beautiful, richer than anything her keyboard could produce. The note seemed to hang in the air, and Maya felt something unlock inside her chest. Before she knew what she was doing, her hands found their positions on the keys. She would play just a little bit, just for a minute. No one would hear. The party was too loud and too far away. Maya began to play the piece she had composed last year when her mother had been sick. Her mother had caught pneumonia and had been so ill that Maya feared she might die. During those terrifying weeks, Maya had poured all her fear and love and hope into music. The result was a piece that started sad and scared but grew stronger, more determined, until it ended with something that felt like hope. As her fingers moved over the keys, Maya forgot about the party. She forgot about her worn shoes and borrowed dress. She forgot about being poor and out of place and different. There was only the music and the way it flowed from her heart through her hands and into the world. The Steinway was more responsive than her keyboard, more alive. It could be soft as a whisper or powerful as a storm. Maya found herself playing with more emotion than she had ever played before. Every feeling she had been holding inside came out through the music. The loneliness of being different. The exhaustion of working so hard. The love for her mother who sacrificed everything. The secret dreams she barely admitted to herself. She played a section that reminded her of rain, her fingers dancing across the keys in a pattern that sounded like drops falling. Then the music grew bigger, like a storm, her hands moving up and down the keyboard with increasing intensity. Finally, it softened again, ending with a gentle melody that faded away like the sun coming out after rain. When the last note died away, Maya sat still with her eyes closed, her hands resting on the keys. For a moment, she felt peaceful in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. Then she heard it, clapping. Maya's eyes flew open and she spun around on the bench. Her heart dropped into her stomach. The doorway was full of people. Not just a few people, but dozens of them, standing there watching her. And behind them, she could see more people trying to see into the room. Victoria Sterling stood in the front of the crowd, her mouth open in surprise. Next to her was her father, a tall man in an expensive suit holding his phone up like he had been recording. Emma was there too, looking amazed. And there were so many others, all the people from the party, all staring at Maya. Maya felt her face burn with embarrassment. She stood up quickly, almost knocking over the bench. "I'm sorry," she stammered. "I didn't mean to, I shouldn't have." But before she could say anything else, the crowd burst into applause. It wasn't polite golf clap applause. It was loud and enthusiastic, with people actually cheering. Maya stood frozen, not understanding what was happening. Why were they clapping? Was this some kind of joke? A man pushed through the crowd, an older gentleman with white hair and a kind face. He had an accent when he spoke, something European that Maya couldn't quite place. "Young lady," he said, his eyes bright with excitement. That was extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. "Where did you study?" Maya's mouth was dry. "I didn't study anywhere. I taught myself." The man's eyebrows shot up. "You're self-taught? That piece you just played, who wrote it?" "I did," Maya said quietly. The room erupted in whispers. The man looked like he might faint from shock. "You composed that yourself? And you've never had formal training?" Maya shook her head, wishing she could disappear through the floor. Richard Sterling, Victoria's father, stepped forward. He was still holding his phone. "I hope you don't mind, but I recorded that. It was too beautiful not to capture. What's your name?" "Maya Chen," she whispered. "Maya, I'm Richard Sterling, and this is my daughter's party." "You're a student at Westwood?" Maya nodded. "And this gentleman here," Mr. Sterling gestured to the white-haired man, "is Dmitri Volkov. He's one of the world's most famous concert pianists. He was giving a performance downtown tonight and came here afterward as my guest." Maya looked at the old man with wide eyes. Even she had heard of Dmitri Volkov. He was a legend, someone who had played for presidents and kings. And he was standing in front of her looking at her like she was something special. "Maya Chen," Volkov said, savoring her name. "I have been playing piano for 60 years. I have heard thousands of pianists. But what you just did, the emotion, the technique, the raw talent, it's something I rarely see. You must play another piece for us." "I can't," Maya said. "I shouldn't have been playing at all. This isn't my piano. I'm sorry, I should go." She tried to move toward the door, but the crowd was blocking her way. Emma pushed through and grabbed her hand. "Maya, this is incredible," Emma whispered. "Everyone is talking about you." Victoria approached and Maya braced herself. Surely Victoria would be angry that Maya had played her piano without permission at her birthday party. But Victoria was smiling. "That was amazing. I had no idea you could play like that. Why didn't you ever try out for the school talent show?" "I didn't think I was good enough," Maya admitted. Volkov made a sound of disbelief. "Not good enough? My dear girl, you have more natural talent than most of the students at Juilliard." "What's Juilliard?" Maya asked. The room went silent. Volkov looked shocked. "You don't know Juilliard? It's only the most prestigious music school in America. In the world, some would say." Maya shook her head. She had never thought about music schools. Music was just something she did at home, alone, for herself. It wasn't a career or a dream. It was just her way of surviving. Mr. Sterling spoke up again. Maya, would you mind if I posted that video online? I think people would really enjoy hearing you play. Maya felt panicked. Online, like on social media? Yes, I have a large following, and I like to share exceptional talent when I discover it. Of course, I won't do it without your permission. Maya didn't know what to say. Part of her wanted to refuse, to keep her music private like it had always been. But another part of her, a part she didn't know existed until right now, wanted people to hear. Wanted them to know that she could do something special, that she was more than just the poor scholarship girl. Okay, she heard herself say. You can post it. Mr. Sterling smiled and immediately started tapping on his phone. Within seconds, he showed her what he had written. Raw genius has no price tag. This self-taught pianist composed and performed this piece tonight. No formal training. Pure talent. Meet Maya Chen. He pressed post and looked up at Maya. There, done. Volkov wasn't finished with Maya yet. I must insist you play something else, please. For an old man who rarely gets to hear something truly special anymore. Maya looked at all the faces watching her. There must have been 50 people crowded around the music room now. She saw other students from school, people who had never spoken to her before looking at her with interest and curiosity. She saw adults in expensive clothes watching her with smiles. She saw Emma giving her an encouraging nod. Okay, Maya said. I'll play one more. The crowd parted to let her return to the piano. Maya sat down again, her hands shaking slightly. She wasn't used to playing for anyone except herself. At home she wore headphones. Even her mother rarely heard her play. She thought about what to play. Should she play another one of her own pieces? Or should she play something famous that everyone might recognize? She decided to improvise, to make up something new right there on the spot. She often did this at home when she couldn't sleep, letting her fingers wander over the keys and seeing what happened. Maya took a deep breath and began to play. This time the music was different. It was lighter, more hopeful. She thought about good things as she played, the smile on her mother's face that morning, the way Danny at the diner always looked out for her. Volkov waved his hand dismissively. I don't want money. I want to help develop your gift. Please think about it. Here is my card. He pulled a business card from his pocket and pressed it into her hand. Mr. Sterling was looking at his phone again, and his expression was one of amazement. Maya, you need to see this. The video has already been viewed 10,000 times and I just posted it 5 minutes ago. He showed her his phone. The video was indeed spreading rapidly. People were commenting, sharing, reacting. Maya read some of the comments. Who is this girl? She's incredible. This made me cry. Such emotion. Raw talent. This is what real music sounds like. Someone get this girl to a recording studio now. Maya felt overwhelmed. It was too much, too fast. An hour ago she had been invisible. Now suddenly everyone could see her. Emma hugged her tightly. Maya, do you understand what's happening? You're going viral. What does that mean? Maya asked. It means everyone is going to know who you are by tomorrow. The rest of the party became a blur. People kept coming up to Maya to talk to her, to compliment her, to ask her questions. Where had she learned to play? How long had she been composing? Would she play at other events? Did she have a YouTube channel? Maya answered as best as she could, but she felt like she was in a dream. These same people had ignored her for 2 years. Now they wanted to know everything about her. Victoria stayed close by, seeming genuinely happy for Maya. This is the best birthday party ever, she said at one point. I mean, usually these parties are kind of boring. Everyone just stands around trying to look cool, but this is actually exciting. Some of Victoria's friends weren't as kind. Maya overheard one girl whispering to another. Of course everyone is making a big deal about it. She's poor, so it's like a charity case story. Rich people love that stuff. The words stung, but Maya tried not to let them show on her face. Maybe the girl was right. Maybe people only cared because of her background, not because of her music. But then she remembered Volkov's face when she played, the genuine wonder in his eyes. He hadn't known she was poor when he heard her music. He had just heard the music itself. Around midnight, Emma's father came to pick them up. Maya was exhausted emotionally and physically. She said goodbye to Victoria, thanking her for the party. Are you kidding? Victoria said. Thank you for coming. You made my party legendary. Everyone's going to be talking about this for years. In the car, Emma couldn't stop talking about everything that had happened. But Maya was quiet, staring out the window. Her mind was spinning with everything that had occurred. The piano, the crowd, Volkov, the video. It all seemed impossible. When she got home, her mother was still awake, waiting up for her. "How was the party?" Mrs. Chen asked. Maya didn't know where to start. "Mom, something happened." She told her mother everything, pulling out Volkov's business card as proof that it had really happened. Mrs. Chen listened with wide eyes, holding her daughter's hand. "I knew you were talented," Mrs. Chen said when Maya finished. "But I had no idea anyone else would recognize it. Mr. Sterling posted a video of me playing. He said it was getting a lot of views." Maya pulled out her phone, which she had barely looked at all evening. She had 17 missed calls and over 100 text messages. Her hand shook as she opened social media. The video Mr. Sterling had posted now had over 2 million views. 2 million. The comments were overwhelming. "This girl needs to be famous. Pure talent and emotion. She made me cry. Get her a record deal immediately. The way she plays, you can feel every note." But there were also comments that weren't so nice. Rich guy trying to make himself look good by showing off a poor kid. Probably staged for publicity. Let's see if she can play real classical music, not just making stuff up. Maya put her phone down. "I don't understand what's happening." Her mother hugged her close. "Your gift is finally being seen by the world. This is a good thing, Maya. Don't be afraid of it. But what if they're right? What if I'm not really that good and people just feel sorry for me? Do you feel the music when you play?" "Yes." "Does it come from your heart?" "Yes." "Then it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Your music is real and true, and that's all that matters." Maya went to bed that night but couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the piano, about the way it had felt under her fingers, about the sound that had filled the room. She thought about Volkov's offer to teach her. She thought about the video spreading across the internet with her face and her music. Her life had changed in one night, and she had no idea what would happen next. The next morning was Sunday, and Maya woke up late. She felt groggy, like she had been dreaming. But when she checked her phone, she knew it hadn't been a dream. The video now had over 5 million views. Her phone was full of notifications, too many to count. There were messages from people at school, most of whom had never spoken to her before. "Maya, that was so cool. I didn't know you could play. OMG, you're famous. Everyone is talking about you." There were also messages from strangers. "Your music touched my heart. Please tell me you're going to make an album. You inspired me to start playing piano again." But the message that made Maya's hands shake was from an email address she didn't recognize. The subject line read, "Scholarship opportunity from Juilliard." Maya opened the email with trembling fingers. "Dear Miss Chen, we came across a video of your performance and are impressed by your natural talent and emotional depth. We would like to invite you to audition for a full scholarship to Juilliard School of Music. Please contact us at your earliest convenience to arrange an audition. Sincerely, Dr. Patricia Hammond, Director of Admissions, Juilliard School." Maya read the email 3 times to make sure it was real. Juilliard, the school Volkov had mentioned, one of the best music schools in the world, was offering her a chance to audition. She showed the email to her mother, who cried and hugged her tightly. "This is your chance, Maya. This is what we've been working toward, even if we didn't know it." Over the next few days, Maya's life became even more surreal. News outlets contacted her asking for interviews. Music websites wrote articles about her. A piano company called Yamaha reached out, offering to send her a real piano for her home. People at school who had never talked to her before suddenly wanted to be her friend. Emma stayed by her side through all of it, helping her figure out how to respond to everything. But even Emma seemed a little overwhelmed by the attention. "It's like you're a celebrity now," Emma said at lunch on Monday. "Everyone is staring at us." It was true. Maya could feel eyes on her everywhere she went. People whispered and pointed. Some of the attention was positive, but some of it wasn't. She overheard comments about how she was just a sob story that rich people were using to feel good about themselves. She heard people say that her music wasn't really that special, that she had just gotten lucky. The comments hurt, but Maya tried to focus on the positive. She had received hundreds of supportive messages. People from all over the world had written to tell her that her music had moved them, had made them feel something. By Wednesday, the video had reached 20 million views. Maya's face was everywhere online. News channels picked up the story, calling her the self-taught piano prodigy from the poorest neighborhood. Music magazines wrote articles analyzing her technique and emotional expression. Social media was full of people sharing the video and adding their own comments. Maya found herself sitting in the principal's office at Westwood Academy, facing Principal Morrison and a woman in a business suit who introduced herself as a publicist. "Maya," Principal Morrison said with a smile that seemed too bright, "we're so proud of you. You've brought wonderful attention to our school." Maya thought this was strange. The school had barely acknowledged her existence before. Now suddenly they were proud of her? The publicist, whose name was Jennifer Clark, leaned forward. "Maya, you've been getting a lot of attention, and I think it's important that we manage this properly. I'd like to help you navigate all these opportunities. I represent several young talents, and I think I could really help you." "I don't understand," Maya said. "What kind of help?" "Well, for starters, you're getting offers for interviews, performances, endorsements. You need someone to sort through them all and help you make smart choices. Someone to protect you from people who might want to take advantage of your situation." Maya felt uncomfortable. "I haven't agreed to do any performances or endorsements. I just played piano at a party." Jennifer smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "I understand this is all new to you. But trust me, this is a crucial moment. You need to strike while the iron is hot, as they say. In a few weeks, people might move on to the next viral sensation. You need to use this opportunity while you have it." "I need to think about it," Maya said. After the meeting, Maya went to find Emma. Her friend was waiting by their usual lunch spot. "How did it go?" Emma asked. "I don't know. Everyone suddenly wants something from me. The school wants to use me for publicity. That woman wants to be my manager or something. It's all so fast. What about Juilliard? Have you decided about the audition?" Maya had been thinking about nothing else. "I don't know if I'm good enough. What if I audition and they realize I'm not as talented as they thought? What if the video just made me look better than I really am?" Emma grabbed her shoulders. "Maya, you are incredibly talented. I've heard you play before, remember? At the diner when we studied there sometimes? You're amazing. Don't let fear stop you from trying." That afternoon, Maya decided to call Dmitry Volkov. She had been carrying his card in her pocket, taking it out and looking at it a dozen times a day. Finally, she gathered her courage and dialed the number. He answered on the second ring. "This is Volkov, Mr. Volkov. This is Maya Chen, from the party on Saturday night." "Maya, my dear girl, I was hoping you would call. Have you thought about my offer of lessons?" "Yes, but I also got an email from Juilliard. They want me to audition for a scholarship." There was a pause. "That's wonderful news. Of course they would want you. Any school would be lucky to have you. But I'm scared. I don't know if I'm really good enough. What if I'm just a viral video and not actually talented?" Volkov's voice became serious. "Maya, listen to me carefully. I have been playing and teaching piano for 6 decades. I know talent when I hear it. What you have is rare and precious. Yes, your story helps people connect to you emotionally, but your story wouldn't matter if you couldn't play. Do you understand? The music stands on its own. There are people saying mean things online, that I'm just a charity case, that rich people are using me to feel good about themselves. Let me tell you something I learned long ago. People who create art will always face criticism from people who create nothing. The ones leaving cruel comments are not the ones making music. They're just angry that someone else is. You cannot let them silence you." His words made Maya feel a little better. "Will you help me prepare for the audition?" "It would be my honor." "When is it?" "They said I can come any time in the next 2 weeks. I need to prepare 3 pieces, 1 classical, 1 modern, and 1 of my own composition. Come to my studio tomorrow after school. We have work to do." Maya hung up feeling both excited and terrified. She was really doing this. She was going to audition for Juilliard. That evening at the diner, Danny noticed she seemed distracted again. "You're not mixing up orders this time, but you're definitely somewhere else in your head," he said. Maya told him about Juilliard and the audition. Danny's face broke into a huge grin. "That's incredible, kid. When's the audition?" "I can schedule it any time, but I want to prepare first. Mr. Volkov is going to help me." "Volkov? The famous guy from the party?" "Yeah, he offered to teach me for free." Danny shook his head in amazement. "Your life has changed completely in less than a week." "I know. It doesn't feel real." "Well, it is real, and you deserve every bit of it. Don't let anyone tell you different." The next day after school, Maya took 2 buses to get to Volkov's studio in Manhattan. It was in a tall building with a doorman who looked at her suspiciously until she said she was there to see Mr. Volkov. Then his face changed completely. "Oh, you're the girl from the video. My daughter made me watch it 5 times. You're very talented, young lady." The elevator took her to the 10th floor. Volkov's studio was a large, beautiful space with high ceilings and huge windows overlooking the city. And in the center of the room sat not one but 2 grand pianos. Volkov greeted her warmly. "Welcome, Maya. Let's begin." For the next 2 hours, Maya worked harder than she had ever worked before. Volkov was kind but demanding. He corrected her posture, her hand position, her breathing. He taught her about dynamics and phrasing and tempo. He explained music theory in ways that suddenly made sense. "You have wonderful instincts," he told her, "but now we must give you the technical foundation to support those instincts. You've been building a beautiful house on sand. Let's give you solid ground to build on." They worked on a Chopin nocturne for the classical piece. Maya had heard it before but had never tried to play it. At first she struggled with the complex left-hand pattern, but Volkov was patient. "Don't try to play it fast yet. Play it slow. Feel each note. Understand why Chopin put that note there and not another note. Music is not just about hitting the right keys. It's about understanding what the composer was trying to say." By the end of the lesson, Maya's fingers hurt and her head was spinning with new information. But she also felt excited. She was learning so much. "Come back tomorrow," Volkov said, "and the day after. We have much to do before your audition." Over the next week, Maya's routine became intense. School all day, then the bus to Volkov's studio, then home to practice on the electric keyboard Yamaha had sent her. A professional model that was worth more than everything else in their apartment combined. She barely had time to eat or sleep. She quit her job at the diner, which broke her heart, but Danny understood. "You've got bigger things to do now," he said, hugging her goodbye. "But you always have a job here if you need it." The media attention continued to grow. More news outlets wanted interviews. A popular late-night show invited her to perform. A documentary filmmaker wanted to make a film about her. Maya turned most of it down, focusing on preparing for her audition. But she did agree to one interview with a local news station because they had been kind about the story. The reporter, a young woman named Sarah, came to Maya's apartment with a camera crew. Maya saw her mother get nervous about their small, shabby home being on TV, but Sarah was respectful. "Tell us about how you learned to play," Sarah asked. Maya showed her the old keyboard, explaining how she had taught herself using free videos on the internet. She talked about playing with headphones so she wouldn't disturb her mother. She talked about how music helped her escape from stress and fear. "Did you ever imagine this would happen?" Sarah asked. "Never," Maya said honestly. "Music was just for me. I never thought anyone else would hear it." "How has your life changed since the video went viral?" Maya thought carefully. "Everything is different. People who never knew I existed now want to be my friend. I'm getting opportunities I never dreamed of. But I'm also scared. What if I'm not as good as people think? What if I let everyone down?" Sarah's expression softened. "From what I've seen, Maya, you're exactly as good as people think. Maybe better." When the interview aired that night, Maya watched it with her mother. Seeing their small apartment on TV felt strange. In the background of one shot, you could see the water stain on the ceiling that they couldn't afford to fix. You could see their old mismatched furniture. Maya felt embarrassed, but the comments online were mostly supportive. Her humility is as beautiful as her music. This is what real talent looks like, not manufactured by rich parents and expensive lessons. She deserves every opportunity she's getting. Of course, there were still negative comments too. Everyone is just feeling sorry for her because she's poor. I bet she's not even that good in person. Videos can be edited. Another viral sensation who will disappear in a month. Maya tried not to read the negative comments, but they still hurt. She wondered if the critics were right. Maybe she was just a feel-good story and not actually talented enough to make it. Emma noticed her friend getting quieter and more withdrawn. One day at lunch, she confronted Maya. "You're letting the haters get to you," Emma said. "I can tell. What if they're right? What if I'm just a charity case? Maya, you played that piano before anyone knew you were poor. The music came from you, not from your bank account. Stop doubting yourself." The day before her Juilliard audition, Maya was so nervous she could barely eat. Volkov had told her she was ready, but she didn't feel ready. She felt like a fraud who was about to be exposed. That evening, Victoria Sterling sent her a text message. This was surprising because Victoria had never texted her before.
Hey Maya, I heard your audition is tomorrow.
Just wanted to say good luck. You're going to be amazing. P.S. Sorry if the party made things weird for you. I really am glad you came. Maya stared at the message for a long time before responding. Thanks, Victoria. And don't be sorry. You gave me an opportunity I never would have had otherwise. Victoria replied immediately. No, you gave yourself the opportunity by being brave enough to play. I just had the piano. That night Maya couldn't sleep. She went over the pieces in her head again and again. The Chopin Nocturne, a piece by a contemporary composer named Ludovico Einaudi, and her own composition, the one she had played at the party. At 3 a.m, her mother found her sitting at the keyboard with the headphones on, playing silently so she wouldn't wake anyone. You need to rest, Mrs. Chen said gently. I can't sleep. I'm too nervous. Her mother sat down next to her. Maya, no matter what happens tomorrow, I am proud of you. You have worked so hard. You have so much courage. Whatever the result, you are already a success. But what if I mess up? What if my hands shake and I can't play? Then you will pick yourself up and try again. That's what we do. We don't give up. Mrs. Chen took the day off work to accompany Maya to the audition. They took the train into Manhattan and found the Juilliard building. It was impressive and intimidating, full of serious-looking students carrying instrument cases. Maya checked in at the reception desk. A friendly woman gave her a number and told her to wait until she was called. The waiting room was full of other young pianists, all looking nervous. Some of them were practicing fingering patterns on their knees. Others had their eyes closed, clearly running through pieces in their heads. A girl sitting next to Maya leaned over. Are you Maya Chen? The girl from the viral video? Maya nodded, feeling self-conscious. Wow, everyone's been talking about you. You're like famous. I'm just here to audition like everyone else, Maya said quietly. Still, it must be nice having everyone already know who you are. There was something in the girl's tone that made Maya uncomfortable, like an accusation hiding under friendly words. Maya didn't respond. After an hour of waiting, Maya's number was called. Her mother squeezed her hand. You can do this, Mrs. Chen whispered. Maya walked into the audition room on shaking legs. 3 judges sat behind a long table, all with stern expressions. The room was large with excellent acoustics, and in the center sat a beautiful Steinway, similar to the one at Victoria's party. Miss Chen, one of the judges said, a woman with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. We've been looking forward to hearing you play. Please begin with your classical piece. Maya sat at the piano and took a deep breath. Her hands were trembling. She placed them on the keys and felt the familiar smoothness. For a moment, she couldn't remember how the Chopin piece started. Then she heard Volkov's voice in her head. Don't think. Feel. Maya closed her eyes and began to play. The first notes were shaky, but then something happened. The music took over, and she forgot about the judges and her nerves. She remembered what Volkov had taught her about phrasing and dynamics. She remembered to breathe. Most importantly, she remembered why she loved this piece, the way it started with sadness but transformed into something almost peaceful. When she finished, she opened her eyes. The judges were writing notes. Their faces gave nothing away. Now the contemporary piece, the gray-haired woman said. The Einaudi piece was different from Chopin, more minimalist, more modern. Maya loved how it built slowly, adding layers of sound until it became something powerful. She played it with confidence this time, her nerves settling. And finally, your original composition. This was the moment Maya had been both anticipating and dreading. Her own music felt so personal, so exposed. Playing it for these judges felt like showing them her diary. But she began anyway. She played the piece from the party, the one about her mother's illness and recovery. She poured everything into it, all the fear and love and hope. She didn't think about impressing the judges. She just played honestly. When the last note faded away, there was silence in the room. Maya looked up nervously at the judges. Were they unimpressed? Had she failed? Then the gray-haired woman did something unexpected. She smiled. Miss Chen, that was remarkable. Your technique needs refinement, which is to be expected from someone self-taught. But your musicality, your emotional intelligence, your composition skills, those are far beyond your years and experience. Another judge, a man with glasses, leaned forward. I have to ask, have you really never had formal training? No private lessons at all? No, sir. Just videos on the internet and practice. The third judge, a younger woman, shook her head in amazement. In my 15 years of conducting auditions, I've never encountered anyone quite like you. You have something that cannot be taught, a genuine voice. The gray-haired woman stood up. Miss Chen, I can tell you right now that we would like to offer you a full scholarship to Juilliard. You would begin in the fall semester. Maya felt dizzy. Really, I got in? You not only got in, but we're offering you our most prestigious scholarship package. It will cover tuition, room and board, and provide a stipend for living expenses. Maya couldn't believe what she was hearing. Juilliard. A full scholarship. Room and board. She wouldn't have to work. She could just study music. There's one condition, the man with glasses said. We'll want to see significant technical improvement over the summer. We're assigning you to work with one of our professors for intensive pre-semester training. We want to strengthen your foundation so you can fully succeed once classes begin. Of course, Maya managed to say. I'll work as hard as I can. We have no doubt of that, the gray-haired woman said warmly. Welcome to Juilliard, Miss Chen. Maya walked out of the audition room in a daze. Her mother took one look at her face and knew. You got in? Mrs. Chen asked, tears already forming in her eyes. Maya nodded, unable to speak. Then she was crying too. And her mother was hugging her tight, both of them crying and laughing at the same time. On the train ride home, Maya called Volkov to tell him the news. I knew you would succeed, he said, his voice full of pride. You have worked very hard and you have earned this opportunity. Thank you for everything, Maya said. I couldn't have done it without you. Nonsense. I simply helped you access what was already inside you. The talent, the dedication, the heart, those were always yours. That evening, Maya posted on social media for the first time since becoming famous. She wrote a simple message. I'm honored to announce that I've been accepted to Juilliard School of Music on a full scholarship. Thank you to everyone who has supported and encouraged me. This is just the beginning. The post exploded immediately. Within an hour, it had 100,000 likes and thousands of comments. News outlets picked up the story. Viral piano prodigy accepted to Juilliard, read the headlines. But the attention was different now. It wasn't just about a poor girl playing piano at a party. It was about a talented musician who had earned her place at one of the world's best schools. The weeks following Maya's acceptance to Juilliard should have been the happiest of her life. But instead, they became some of the most complicated and confusing. At school, everything changed. Students who had ignored her for 2 years suddenly wanted to sit with her at lunch. They asked her about her plans and told her stories about their own musical experiences, even though Maya knew most of them had never cared about music before. Teachers who had barely noticed her now stopped her in the hallways to congratulate her and tell her how proud the school was of her achievement. Principal Morrison called another meeting, this time with the school's marketing director. They wanted to feature Maya in the school's promotional materials. They wanted her to give a speech at graduation. They wanted to use her story to show that Westwood Academy valued diversity and talent from all backgrounds. We'd like to highlight your journey, the marketing director said, showing Maya mock-ups of brochures with her picture on them. From scholarship student to Juilliard. It's an inspiring story. Maya looked at the brochures and felt uncomfortable. In all the photos they had chosen, her modest clothing and simple appearance were emphasized, making her look as poor as possible. The text talked about her humble beginnings and overcoming poverty through talent. It felt less like celebrating her achievement and more like using her background as a marketing tool. I don't think I want to do this, Maya said quietly. Principal Morrison's smile tightened. Maya, think about future students who might be in your situation. Your story could inspire them to apply to Westwood. Don't you want to help others? The guilt trip worked. Maya reluctantly agreed to be in one brochure, but she refused the graduation speech. She didn't want to stand up in front of everyone and be displayed as the poor girl who made it. At lunch, Maya noticed that her usual table had become crowded. Girls who had never spoken to her before now gathered around, acting like they had always been friends. One of them, Ashley Chen, no relation to Maya, was particularly pushy. Maya, we should totally hang out this weekend, Ashley said, touching Maya's arm in a way that felt fake. We could go shopping. I heard Nordstrom wants to sponsor you or something. It was true. Several clothing companies had reached out. offering to provide Maya with a wardrobe in exchange for her wearing their brands and posting about them on social media. Maya hadn't responded to any of them yet. "I'm busy practicing," Maya said. "You're always practicing," Ashley pouted. "Come on, you can take one day off. Besides, don't you want some nice clothes for when you go to Juilliard? You can't show up there and—" She stopped herself, but Maya knew what she had been about to say. "In your cheap clothes," Emma, who had been quietly eating her lunch, spoke up. "Maya doesn't need your help picking out clothes, Ashley. She's doing just fine." Ashley's friendly expression dropped for a moment, revealing something cold underneath. "I was just trying to be nice. But whatever." She got up and moved to another table, taking 2 other girls with her. "Thanks," Maya said to Emma. "Those girls are fake," Emma said bluntly. "They wouldn't have looked at you twice before the video went viral. Now they want to be your friend because you're famous. It's pathetic." But even Emma had been acting a little different lately. She seemed quieter around Maya, less open. When Maya asked her about it, Emma denied anything was wrong, but Maya could feel the distance growing between them. The truth was that their friendship had always been based on being outsiders together. Now Maya was becoming an insider, and Emma was being left behind. Emma was happy for Maya, truly happy, but she was also struggling with her own feelings of being overlooked. Emma worked hard too. Emma had dreams too, but no one was offering Emma scholarships or posting videos of Emma online. One afternoon, Maya overheard a conversation in the bathroom. She was in a stall when 2 girls came in, not knowing she was there. "I'm so sick of hearing about Maya Chen," one voice said. It sounded like Jessica, one of Victoria's friends. "Everyone acts like she's so special." "I know, right?" The other voice agreed. "She played piano at a party, big deal. My little sister takes piano lessons. Should we make her viral too? The only reason anyone cares is because she's poor. It's like a charity case. Rich people love feeling good about themselves by helping poor people." Exactly. If she came from a normal family, no one would care about her playing. And now she's getting everything handed to her. Scholarship to Juilliard, free piano interview requests. Must be nice. I heard Victoria only invited her to the party because her parents made her invite some scholarship students. They were trying to look inclusive or whatever. Maya sat frozen in the stall, her face burning with shame and anger. She waited until the girls left before coming out. She looked at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the person staring back. Was everything people said true? Was she just a charity case? Did people only care about her music because of her background? That evening, Maya was supposed to practice, but she couldn't focus. She kept thinking about what those girls had said. She picked up her phone and did something she had been avoiding. She read the comments on her videos and posts. Really read them. Mixed in with the supportive comments were cruel ones. She's only famous because of her sob story. The playing is mediocre at best. Rich people are using her to feel good about themselves. She's being exploited. Can't wait for everyone to forget about her in a month when the next viral sensation comes along. Self-taught? More like no talent and no proper training. She'll fail at Juilliard. I've heard better playing from high school students who actually took lessons. The comments went on and on. Maya felt sick to her stomach. She put down her phone and went to the keyboard. But when she tried to play, her hands felt heavy and clumsy. The music that usually flowed so naturally felt forced and artificial. What if the critics were right? What if she wasn't really talented? What if she was just a feel-good story that people would forget about? The next day, Maya met with Volkov for her lesson. He immediately noticed that something was wrong. "You're playing mechanically today," he said after she stumbled through a scale. "Where is the feeling? Where is the Maya who played at that party?" "Maybe that wasn't really me," Maya said. "Maybe I just got lucky that night." Volkov set down his tea and looked at her seriously. "What happened? What's troubling you?" Maya told him everything. The fake friends, the school using her for marketing, the cruel comments online, the conversation she'd overheard in the bathroom. When she finished, there were tears in her eyes. "Everyone says I'm only getting opportunities because I'm poor, that I'm not really talented, and maybe they're right. Maybe people just feel sorry for me." Volkov was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up and went to his bookshelf, pulling out a worn leather journal. He handed it to Maya. "This is from my first year performing professionally. I was 19 years old, just a little older than you. Read the page I've marked." Maya opened the journal and read the handwritten entry. "The critics say I only get attention because I'm from Russia, that people are interested in the novelty of a young Soviet pianist, rather than my actual talent. They say my technique is rough, unpolished. They say I'm a product of propaganda. I am beginning to believe them. Perhaps I should quit and return home. Maya looked up at Volkov in surprise. You felt like this too? Everyone who achieves something feels like this at some point. Do you know what imposter syndrome is? Maya shook her head. It's when successful people believe they don't deserve their success, that they're frauds who will soon be exposed. Almost every accomplished person I've ever met has experienced it. But what if the critics are right? What if I am only famous because I'm poor? Maya, listen to me carefully. Yes, your story captured people's attention. Yes, it made them interested in hearing you play. But here's the truth. If you weren't genuinely talented, that attention would have died immediately. People don't watch a video 20 million times because they feel sorry for someone. They watch it because the music moves them. But let me finish. You got into Juilliard. Do you think they admitted you because of your background? Juilliard is one of the most prestigious music schools in the world. They accepted you because you're talented, period. They've heard thousands of auditions. They know the difference between a viral sensation and real musicianship. Volkov leaned forward. Yes, your poverty is part of your story, but it doesn't define your talent. Your circumstances shaped you, gave you depth and emotion and perspective. But the music itself, that comes from something deeper. That comes from your soul. Maya felt some of the tightness in her chest release. So what do I do about all the comments and the fake friends and everyone having opinions about me? You do what every artist must do. You focus on the work. You ignore the noise. You remember why you make music in the first place. Not for fame or validation, but because you must. Because music is how you speak your truth. Maya nodded slowly. It's just hard. Before, when I played at home alone, it was simple. Now everyone is watching and judging. Then you must find a way to be alone even in a crowd. When you sit at that piano, the audience disappears. The critics disappear. It's just you and the music.
Can you do that?
I can try. Good, now let's try that piece again. This time, play it for yourself, not for me or anyone else. But later, alone in the bathroom, Maya let herself cry. The pressure was becoming too much. Everyone had expectations of her now. The school wanted her to be their success story. Juilliard expected her to prove she deserved the scholarship. Her mother worked even harder now, wanting to support Maya's dreams. Strangers online either worshipped her or hated her, and Maya herself didn't know what to think anymore. Was she talented or just lucky? Was she brave or was she a fraud? Did she deserve this opportunity or was she taking a spot from someone more qualified? Victoria Sterling, surprisingly, became an unexpected source of support. She texted Maya after the critical article came out. Don't let them get to you. People always try to tear down anyone who's different or successful. I deal with it too in a different way. Maya was surprised. You, but you're rich and popular. Everyone loves you. Are you kidding? Everyone has an opinion about me. I'm either a spoiled rich girl who has everything handed to her, or I'm shallow and fake because I care about fashion and parties. People think they know me based on my bank account, but they don't actually see me. They met for coffee the next day, something that would have seemed impossible a few months ago. Victoria chose a quiet cafe away from school where they wouldn't run into classmates. The thing is, Victoria said, stirring her latte, we're both stuck in boxes that other people put us in. You're the poor girl who can play piano. I'm the rich girl who has everything. Neither of those things is the whole truth. I never thought about it that way, Maya admitted. Everyone judges everyone based on the most obvious thing about them. But we're more complex than that, right? Like, I actually envy you sometimes. Maya almost choked on her tea. You envy me? Yeah, you have something real. Something you created yourself. I've had everything given to me my whole life, and I don't really know what I'm good at. What I'm passionate about. My parents have plans for me, but I don't know if they're my plans. Maya looked at Victoria with new understanding. I never thought about how hard that might be. I'm not saying my problems are worse than yours. Obviously, poverty is real and difficult, but we both have pressure, just different kinds. You're pressured to prove you deserve what you've earned. I'm pressured to live up to what my family expects. They talked for 2 hours, and Maya realized that Victoria wasn't the shallow rich girl she had assumed. She was thoughtful and funny and dealing with her own struggles. By the end, they had exchanged numbers and made plans to meet again. When Maya told Emma about the coffee meeting, Emma's reaction was cooler than expected. Victoria Sterling, really? She's actually really nice. We had a good conversation. I'm sure you did, Emma said, but there was an edge to her voice. What's that supposed to mean? Emma sighed. Nothing. I just forget it. No, tell me. What's wrong? Emma put down her fork. They were eating lunch at their usual table, but it was just the two of them now. The fake friends had drifted away when Maya stopped being responsive to their attention. It's just that everything is changing. You're friends with Victoria Sterling now. You're going to Juilliard. You have this whole new life, and I'm still here. Same as always. Maya felt her heart sink. Emma, you're my best friend. That hasn't changed, hasn't it? We barely talk anymore. You're always practicing or meeting with Volkov or dealing with some interview request. And I get it, I do. You're busy. But it feels like you're moving into this new world and I'm being left behind. That's not true. Maya, it's okay. I'm happy for you, I really am. But can you understand how it feels to watch your friend become famous while you're still invisible? I work hard too. I have dreams too. But nobody's making videos about me or offering me scholarships. Maya didn't know what to say. Emma was right. Their lives were diverging in ways neither of them had anticipated. I don't want to lose you as a friend, Maya said quietly. I don't want that either. But I think we both need to admit that things are different now, and that's okay. It's not anyone's fault. It's just life. They finished lunch in uncomfortable silence. Maya realized that success came with losses she hadn't expected. She was gaining opportunities but losing the simplicity of her old life, losing relationships that couldn't adapt to the changes. That night Maya had a crisis. She sat at her keyboard but couldn't bring herself to play. The joy had gone out of it. Music had always been her escape, her private world. Now it felt like a performance, something she did for others rather than for herself. She thought about turning down Juilliard. She thought about going back to being invisible, working at the diner, playing alone in her room. Life had been simpler then. Harder in some ways, but simpler. Her mother found her sitting in the dark, staring at the keyboard. What's wrong, my daughter? Maya told her everything. The fake friends, the critical articles, the tension with Emma, the pressure, the doubt. When she finished, her mother was quiet for a long moment. Do you remember why you started playing piano? Mrs. Chen finally asked. Because it made me happy. Because I could express things I couldn't say in words. And does it still make you happy? Maya thought about this. When I'm alone, when I forget about everyone watching and judging, yes. Yes, it still makes me happy. Then that's your answer. You don't play for the critics or the fake friends or even for the real friends. You play for yourself, for the music itself. Everything else is just noise. But what if I fail? What if I get to Juilliard and I'm not good enough? Then you will have tried. You will have been brave enough to pursue your dream. That's more than most people can say. I didn't come to this country and work 3 jobs so you could play it safe, Maya. I did it so you could have chances I never had. Her mother's words struck deep. Mrs. Chen was right. Playing it safe wasn't honoring her mother's sacrifices. It was wasting them. The next day at school, Maya made a decision. She went to Principal Morrison's office. I've thought about the promotional materials, she said, and I've decided I don't want to be in them. Principal Morrison frowned. Maya, we've already started. I know. But using my poverty to market the school feels wrong. If you want to promote the value of the scholarship program, do it. But don't use my face and my story as the poster. There are other scholarship students whose stories matter too. The board specifically requested, then tell the board I said no. You can't force me to do this. For a moment, Principal Morrison looked angry. Then her expression smoothed into professional disappointment. That's unfortunate. The school has been very supportive of you. The school gave me a scholarship I'm grateful for. But that doesn't mean you own my story. Maya walked out feeling lighter than she had in weeks. She was starting to find her voice, not just in music, but in life. She found Emma after school and asked if they could talk. I'm sorry, Maya said. You're right that things have changed. I've been so caught up in everything happening to me that I haven't been a good friend. But I don't want to lose you. You're the person who was there before any of this. That matters. Emma's eyes were shiny with tears. I'm sorry too. I've been jealous and it's not fair. You worked hard for this. You deserve good things. We both deserve good things. Your time will come too. They hugged and Maya felt like maybe they could navigate these changes together after all. A week later, Maya got an email that made her stomach drop. It was from a prestigious music competition called the International Young Pianists Competition. They were inviting her to compete in their annual event, which would be broadcast live and judged by some of the most respected musicians in the world. "This is an incredible opportunity," Volkov said when she told him. "Winning this competition has launched many careers. But what if I lose? What if I embarrass myself in front of everyone? What if you win? What if you prove to yourself and everyone else that you deserve to be here?" Maya thought about the critical article, about the people who said she was just a viral sensation, about her own doubts and fears. "I'll do it," she said. "I'll compete." The competition was in 6 weeks. Maya threw herself into preparation with new determination. She practiced 6 hours a day. She worked with Volkov on interpretation and technique. She studied music theory, trying to fill in the gaps in her knowledge. As the competition date approached, the pressure mounted. News outlets covered the story. Viral piano sensation to compete against classically trained musicians. Online debates raged about whether she would succeed or fail spectacularly. The night before the competition, Maya couldn't sleep. She lay in bed thinking about everything that had led to this moment. The party where she had played without thinking. The video going viral, Juilliard accepting her, and now this competition that would either validate her or prove the critics right. Her phone buzzed with a text from Victoria. "You're going to be amazing tomorrow. Just remember why you play." Another text came from Emma. "I'll be watching online. You've got this, bestie." And then one from Volkov. "Trust yourself. Trust the music. You are ready." Maya put down her phone and went to her keyboard. She put on her headphones and played in the darkness, not practicing pieces for the competition, just playing whatever came to her. She played for herself, remembering what it felt like before anyone was watching, before it mattered. The morning of the International Young Pianist competition arrived with gray skies and the promise of rain. Maya woke up early, her stomach churning with nerves. Her mother was already awake, making breakfast. "Eat something," Mrs. Chen said, placing a bowl of oatmeal in front of Maya. "You need energy." Maya forced herself to eat a few bites, though she barely tasted anything. Today would determine so much, not just whether she could compete with classically trained musicians, but whether she belonged in this world at all. The competition was being held at Lincoln Center, one of the most famous concert venues in New York. Maya had never been inside before. She and her mother took the subway, and Maya watched the city pass by the windows, trying to calm her racing thoughts. Volkov had wanted to meet them at the venue, but Maya had asked him to stay away until after she performed. She didn't want any extra pressure. She needed to do this alone, to prove to herself that she could. When they arrived at Lincoln Center, Maya was overwhelmed by the grandeur of the building. High ceilings, elegant architecture, the buzz of important people moving with purpose. A woman with a clipboard checked Maya's name off a list and directed her to a waiting area for competitors. The waiting room was full of young pianists from around the world. Maya could hear multiple languages being spoken. Everyone looked confident and polished in their concert attire. Maya wore a simple black dress that Volkov had helped her mother buy, nothing fancy but appropriate. Still, she felt out of place among these people who had clearly grown up in the world of classical music. A girl about Maya's age sat next to her and smiled. She had an accent that sounded French. "You're nervous too?" the girl asked. "Very nervous," Maya admitted. "Me too. I've been training for this competition for 2 years. My teacher says I'm ready, but I don't feel ready." Maya thought about how she had only been working with Volkov for a couple of months. These other competitors had been studying their whole lives. "I'm Camille," the girl said, extending her hand. "Maya." Camille's eyes widened. "Maya Chen? The one from the video?" Maya nodded, bracing herself for judgment. But Camille surprised her. "Your playing is very beautiful, very emotional. I watched the video many times. You have something special, something that can't be taught." "Thank you," Maya said, genuinely touched. They talked for a few minutes, and Maya learned that Camille was from Paris and had been studying at a conservatory since she was 6 years old. Yet Camille didn't seem jealous or dismissive of Maya. She seemed genuinely kind. "They say 15 competitors will play today," Camille explained. "The judges will select 3 finalists who will perform tomorrow in the final round. The final round is broadcast live on television and online." Maya's stomach flipped. She hadn't realized the finals would be broadcast. More people watching, more pressure. One by one, competitors were called to perform. Maya could hear the music faintly through the walls, though she couldn't make out details. Each pianist played for about 15 minutes, performing pieces they had prepared. Some were announced as famous prodigies. Others had won smaller competitions. All of them sounded incredible from what Maya could hear. After 3 hours of waiting, Maya's name was finally called. Her mother squeezed her hand. "Remember who you are," Mrs. Chen said quietly. "Remember why you play." Maya walked down a long hallway and into the performance hall. It was smaller than she expected, but still impressive, with perfect acoustics and rows of seats rising up from the stage. The judges sat in the front row, 5 people with notebooks and stern expressions. A small audience of maybe 100 people filled other seats, mostly family members of competitors and music journalists. And there, in the middle of the stage, was the piano. A Steinway concert, grand, beautiful, and intimidating. The head judge, an elderly man with white hair, spoke into a microphone. "Miss Maya Chen, please begin when you're ready. You have 15 minutes. Maya walked to the piano on shaking legs. She sat down and adjusted the bench. Her hands were trembling as she placed them on the keys. For a moment, her mind went completely blank. She couldn't remember what she was supposed to play first. Then she closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She thought about Volkov's words. Trust yourself. Trust the music. She began with the Chopin nocturne she had prepared. At first, her fingers felt stiff and her playing was mechanical. She could hear herself making small mistakes. But then gradually, she stopped thinking about the judges and the audience. She started feeling the music instead. The nocturne was about sadness turning into peace. Maya thought about her own life, about all the struggles and how they had led to beautiful things. She let that emotion flow through her playing. Her technique might not be as polished as the other competitors, but she poured her heart into every note. When she transitioned into her second piece, a modern composition by Philip Glass, she felt more confident. This piece was repetitive and hypnotic, requiring precise rhythm and control. Maya had practiced it hundreds of times until her fingers knew it by memory. For her final piece, she played her own composition, the one from Victoria's party but slightly revised. She had worked with Volkov to strengthen the structure while keeping the emotional core. This was the piece that meant the most to her, the one that told her story without words. As she played, Maya forgot about everything else. She forgot about the competition, the critics, the viral video, the scholarship. She was just a girl playing piano because she loved it, because she needed to express what was inside her. The final notes faded away, and Maya opened her eyes. For a moment, the hall was silent. Then the small audience erupted in applause. Maya stood and bowed, her heart pounding. She had done it. She had played in front of judges and an audience and hadn't fallen apart. As she walked off stage, she felt lighter. Win or lose, she had proven something to herself. She could do this. She belonged here. Her mother hugged her tightly in the hallway. "You were wonderful, my daughter." Volkov appeared, beaming with pride. "Maya, that was excellent. Your technical control has improved so much and your musicality was outstanding." "I made mistakes in the Chopin," Maya said. "Small mistakes that no one but another pianist would notice. What matters is that you communicated the emotion, and you did that beautifully." They had to wait until all 15 competitors finished before the judges would announce the 3 finalists. Maya, her mother, and Volkov found seats in the audience and watched the remaining performances. Each pianist was technically skilled and well prepared. Maya watched a boy from South Korea play with incredible speed and precision. She watched a girl from Russia play with such passion that the audience gasped. She watched Camille from France play with elegant refinement. Everyone was so good. Maya couldn't imagine being chosen as a finalist. Finally, after 6 hours of performances, the judges took a break to deliberate. The wait was agonizing. Maya paced in the hallway, unable to sit still. Emma sent encouraging texts. Victoria sent a gif of a cat playing piano with the message, "This is you tomorrow, a star." After an hour, everyone was called back into the hall. The head judge stood at the microphone. "We have heard 15 exceptional young pianists today," he began. "The level of talent was extraordinary, which made our decision very difficult. However, we have selected 3 finalists who will compete tomorrow evening in a live broadcast performance. Each finalist will prepare a 20-minute program of their choice." He paused and Maya held her breath. "Our 3 finalists are Lee Min-jun from Seoul, South Korea." Applause filled the hall. The Korean boy looked thrilled but not surprised. Camille Laurent from Paris, France, more applause. Camille covered her mouth with her hands, tears in her eyes. And Maya Chen from New York, United States. For a moment, Maya didn't register her own name. Then her mother was hugging her and Volkov was shaking her hand and people around them were congratulating her. She had made it. She was a finalist. That evening, the news spread quickly. Self-taught pianist advances to finals of prestigious competition. Social media exploded with reactions. Some people were thrilled, celebrating her success. Others were skeptical, saying the judges were just trying to create a good story for the broadcast. Maya tried not to read any of it. She had less than 24 hours to prepare a 20-minute program. With Volkov, she selected pieces that would showcase different aspects of her abilities: technical skill, emotional depth, and originality. They decided on a bold program: Bach for technical precision, Rachmaninoff for romantic passion, and a new composition Maya would create that night specifically for this performance. A new composition? Maya asked nervously. In one night? You compose all the time, Volkov reminded her. This is just giving structure to what's already inside you. Play what you need to play. Play your truth. Maya stayed up all night working on the composition. She called it Invisible Voices because it was about everyone who felt unseen and unheard. It was about the girl who used to clean tables at a diner and play piano with headphones so she wouldn't disturb anyone. It was about her mother sewing late into the night. It was about all the people working hard in jobs that nobody noticed, dreaming dreams that nobody knew about. The piece started quietly, almost tentatively, like someone afraid to be heard. Maya sat at the piano and spoke into the microphone, something none of the other competitors had done. I know many people wonder if I deserve to be here, she said, her voice shaking slightly. I've only been studying formally for a few months. Everyone else here has trained their whole lives. But I want to share something with you tonight. Music isn't just about technical perfection. It's about truth. It's about sharing what's in your heart. That's what I'm going to do tonight. The hall was silent, everyone listening. I'm going to play 3 pieces for you. The first is by Bach, to show that I'm learning the technical foundations. The second is by Rachmaninoff, to show that I can interpret the great masters. And the third is my own composition called Invisible Voices. It's for everyone who's ever felt unseen or unheard. For everyone who's been told they don't belong. This is for you. Maya began with the Bach prelude. It was clean and precise, maybe not as technically perfect as Lee Min-jun's playing, but honest and clear. She moved into the Rachmaninoff, and here she let her emotions flow. The piece was about longing and passion, and Maya understood those feelings deeply. She played like her heart was breaking open, and then, the moment she had been both anticipating and dreading, her own composition, Invisible Voices. She began quietly, her fingers barely touching the keys. The music was hesitant at first, uncertain. Then it grew. It asked questions. It demanded answers. It refused to be silenced anymore. Maya thought about every time someone had looked through her like she wasn't there. Every time someone had judged her based on her clothes or her address. Every time she had felt like she didn't belong. She thought about her mother working 3 jobs and still smiling. She thought about Danny at the diner who always looked out for her. She thought about Emma who had been her friend when she had no one else. The music swelled, becoming powerful and declarative. Maya's hands moved across the entire keyboard, using every range of the instrument. She wasn't playing for the judges anymore. She wasn't playing to win a competition. She was playing because she had something to say, and music was her language. The piece built to a climax that was almost overwhelming in its intensity, then softened into something gentle and hopeful. It ended with a simple melody that seemed to say, I am here. I matter, and so do you. When the last note faded away, there was absolute silence in the hall. Maya opened her eyes, suddenly afraid. Had it been too much? Too personal? Too raw? Then the audience erupted. Not just applause, but shouts and cheers. People were standing, not just politely, but enthusiastically. In the front row, her mother was crying. Volkov was wiping his eyes. And to Maya's surprise, so were some of the judges. Maya stood and bowed, overwhelmed. She had never experienced anything like this. The applause went on and on. Someone threw flowers on the stage. People in the balcony were calling her name. Backstage, Camille hugged her. That was beautiful, she said. It made me cry. You have such a gift. Lee Min-jun shook her hand. Your composition was amazing, so honest. I wish I could play with that much emotion. The judges deliberated for 30 minutes while the audience waited. Finally, they returned to announce the results. This has been the most difficult decision in the 20 years I've been judging this competition, the head judge said. We have witnessed 3 outstanding performances tonight, each with unique strengths. He announced third place went to Lee Min-jun, who looked disappointed but handled it gracefully. Second place went to Camille, who accepted her medal with tears of joy. And the winner of this year's International Young Pianists Competition, by unanimous decision of the judges, is Maya Chen. The hall exploded with cheers. Maya walked to the stage in a daze to accept her medal and small trophy. The head judge spoke to her privately. Ms. Chen, in my many years of judging, I've heard thousands of technically perfect performances. But rarely do I hear someone who truly understands what music is for. To communicate truth, to connect human hearts. That's what you did tonight. Never lose that, even as you develop your technical skills. The rest of the evening was a blur of interviews, photographs, and congratulations. News outlets wanted statements. Social media exploded with clips of her performance. The video of Invisible Voices went viral, even more than the original video from Victoria's party. But the comments were different this time. Even the critics who had doubted her before had to acknowledge what she had accomplished. Maya Chen silenced the doubters tonight with a performance that was both technically competent and emotionally devastating. Whether you think she deserved to be there or not, there's no denying that Chen earned this victory. Forget the sob story. This girl can actually play, and her composition rivals work by established composers. Of course, there were still critics. Some said the judges had chosen her because of her story, rather than purely on merit. Others said she still had a long way to go technically, but even the harshest critics had to admit that she had proven she belonged. Late that night, Maya finally made it home with her mother. She was exhausted but felt a peace she hadn't felt in weeks. Her phone was full of messages, but she ignored them all except one. It was from Emma. I knew you could do it. So proud of you, bestie. Maya smiled and replied, Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. The next morning, Maya slept late. When she finally woke up, her mother had made a special breakfast and there was a package waiting at the door. It was from Juilliard, a congratulatory letter along with information about her pre-semester intensive training program. Over the following weeks, life settled into a new normal. Maya continued working with Volkov, preparing for Juilliard. She gave a few carefully selected interviews, turning down most requests. She performed once more, a free concert at a community center in her neighborhood. She wanted to give back to the place that had shaped her. The community center was packed with people from her neighborhood, people who had known her before she was famous. Danny came from the diner. Old neighbors came. People who had struggled alongside her family came, and they understood her music in a way that fancy audiences couldn't, because they had lived the experiences she was expressing. After the performance, an elderly woman approached Maya with tears in her eyes. She spoke in Spanish, which Maya didn't understand, but the woman's daughter translated. She says your music told her story. She cleaned houses for 40 years to send her children to college, and nobody ever thanked her or noticed her. But your song Invisible Voices made her feel seen for the first time. Maya hugged the woman, both of them crying. This was why she played. Not for fame or scholarships or winning competitions. For moments like this where music could make someone feel less alone. On the last day of school before summer break, Maya sought out Victoria. They had become genuine friends over the past months, bonding over their shared experience of being defined by circumstances beyond their control. I'm hosting a small party this weekend, Victoria said. Nothing huge like the birthday party. Just some friends hanging out by the pool. You should come. Bring Emma. I'd like that, Maya said. She also made peace with the way things had changed. Emma was still her friend, but their relationship was different now. They were on different paths, and that was okay. Real friendship could survive distance and change. Maya spent the summer preparing for Juilliard. The intensive pre-semester training was grueling but fulfilling. She worked on technique and theory, filling in the gaps in her education. But she also kept working on her compositions, refusing to let technical training suppress her natural voice. One evening, she visited her old spot at the diner. Danny let her sit in her favorite booth, and she ordered the cheap coffee and fries she used to eat when she worked there. You've come a long way, kid, Danny said, sitting across from her. I have, but I don't want to forget where I came from. This place, these people, they're part of who I am. As long as you remember that, you'll be fine. When September came and it was time to leave for Juilliard, Maya felt both excited and nostalgic. She packed her few belongings, including the old keyboard her mother had bought at a garage sale years ago. She wanted to keep it as a reminder. Her mother took her to the train station. They stood on the platform together, both trying not to cry. I'm so proud of you, Mrs. Chen said, holding her daughter's face in her hands. You worked so hard. You never gave up. You stayed true to yourself. I couldn't have done it without you, Mom. Everything I have is because of your sacrifices. No, my daughter. What you have is because of your talent and your courage. I just gave you the chance. You did the rest. They hugged for a long time. Then Maya boarded the train, finding a window seat. As the train pulled away, she watched her mother waving until she was out of sight. Maya arrived at Juilliard feeling nervous but ready. Her dorm room was small but comfortable. Her roommate was a violinist from Japan who seemed nice. As Maya unpacked, she looked out the window at the city and thought about everything that had happened in the past year. A year ago, she had been invisible, just another poor kid struggling to get by. Now she was a Juilliard student with a competition win and millions of people who had heard her play, but she hadn't changed who she was at her core.